So good afternoon. This is Ron Doster with Travel Solutions, and I'm here today with Outside Agents to share a little bit of information with you about My Agent Genie. We're really excited about some of the new improvements that we made this past week, and today we want to talk specifically how that pertains to groups. Okay, so I know groups is a really big thing for you guys, and today we want to look at groups in a little bit more detail and then share with you some of the things to come. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to pull my trips up, and I'm going to pull up an old group that I did. Okay, and so this is a group. I really didn't have a way to do it. Okay, and so I had the group. I put the group number in the description the way I said, and then I just added a lot of travelers. Well, we know the issues with this. There's no way for me to invoice each one of these families individually for their portion, and it just is kind of all together. Okay, and so the other way is that I could make several trips. I could make a trip for each one of the families or each one of the cabins or rooms, and then I could put the group number and kind of join them together like that. Neither one of those ways, work really well, and so I'm really excited to show you something new. So I'm going to go to trips, and I'm going to add a new trip, and I'm going to choose a group with no contract. And yes, down the road we are going to address groups with contracts, and what that means is there's going to be a method in there for you to track your inventory and pricing and things like that. Okay, so this is just the only group that we have right now. So there's not much changed here. I just fill out a description. I'm going to choose it's a vacation, and I'm going to put some dates. And let's see, through the 7th. And then in this case, I'm going to do a Royal Caribbean. And Royal Caribbean actually gave me a group number. And so I'm going to put that group number in here and the operator for the group. Okay. Now we're going to talk about this group number a little bit more in a few minutes. But right now, I did get a group number, and that's the group number, that I got. Okay. I'm going to put the name of the trip here. So we want to give that. We want to get. So you guys aren't hearing me? Can I get a show of hands if you hear me now? Okay, excellent. Sorry, someone had written that they couldn't hear. Okay, so I'm going to write a good description here, and I'm just going to say that this is the Doster family cruise 2017. Okay, all right, so I have that, and I'm going to pick cruise line. I'm going to select the line, Royal. Okay, now this is a little different because now we're asking for the cruise ship. Okay, and we're going to go on the Oasis, and so we now have all of the cruise lines and their ships, and you're going to see in a minute we also have the room categories. Okay, and so I'm going to go ahead and save that. And so now I have a trip started just like I normally would. Okay, and I noticed the tabs are a little different than trips were, but I do have my trip started. I'm going to click on reservations, and at this time I don't have any reservations. Now what a reservation is just someone's reserving one of those rooms on that group. They want to get a cabin. Okay, so I'm going to add a reservation, and I'm going to give that reservation a trip description also. And so I'm going to say this is the Doster's cabin on the Doster. And I'm going to show you why in a minute I like to do this. Family Cruise 2017. And so I'm going to save that. Everything else transferred over, you know, the cruise line, the ship, all of that stuff, the dates. I just needed to give this reservation a name. Okay. Now I'm going to click Add Reservation Category, and I'm going to pick my room category. And let's see, since I'm not really paying for it, I probably need the owner suite. Yes. All right. So I've got the owner suite. So now if you notice from here to here, this is just a normal trip. So everything, there's no learning curve here. Everything is going to be the same that you normally would have done it. All right. I can come over here and I can add a note, you know, talk to Ron about the cruise. And I can save that. You know, if I sent them a proposal or something, I could add a document just like I always could. Let me find my document hiding here on me. Documents, demo, proposal. So everything's the same. There's no learning curve here on what you could do. I'm going back to the reservation. This reservation information is really just a trip inside of this other trip. I'm going to go add a traveler, and I'm going to make it primary, and I'm going to add Ron, and I'm going to add another traveler, and I'm going to add a secondary traveler, and I'm going to add Shawnee. And so now I have my travelers in this room, okay, and everything's fine. And I went out to Royal Caribbean, and I actually did the booking, okay. Now, when you went to Royal Caribbean and you did the booking, you know, some wholesalers are going to do it different, whether it's a cruise line or, you know, classic or a fun jet. When they do groups, some of them do things different. Sometimes they give you an individual reservation number for that reservation. If they do, then you're going to put that number here. But let's say, I don't know if they do or not, but let's say Royal Caribbean didn't give me a number. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my group number, and then I'm going to start with -1. And as I do each one of my reservations, I'm just going to change those -1, -2, -3. Okay. And so I'm going to put the booking date, and this was with Royal, and I'm going to put the price, and I'm going to put the commission, and I'm going to save that. Okay. Here I can go ahead and set up a task for a final payment, and I'm going to give that a due date, and payment due, and save. Okay. Everything that I would have normally done to a trip, I've done. Now, if I go back to my reservations, I can see my reservations. I have one reservation. This is the cabin that it is. This is the travelers, the package price, and the balance due. And at top here is for my whole group. Okay, so now I need to add another reservation. So I'm going to add another reservation, and I'm going to put Bedwell on the Gloucester family cruise, and I'm going to save that. I'm going to add a traveler, and I'm going to put Lauren, and I'm going to put Jeff. Okay, and I'm going to add one more, and I'm going to make it a secondary, and I'm going to say Luke. Okay, Luke isn't there, so I'm going to go ahead and type a little bit more. And so Luke Bedwell, he's not there. Now this is kind of new, that's why I wanted to show you that. Okay, so we're going to say create a new one. All right, so what it did is it brought Luke and Bedwell in. I'm going to go ahead and put a birth date in here, and I'm going to say 03/25/201. Let's see, this is 17th, 16, 15. And I'm going to create it. And I'm going to go ahead and save that. Okay. Now, what happens here, as you see, Lauren didn't have a birth date. Jeff did. Luke does. And so what we've added, it's actually telling you how old they're going to be when they travel. Now, we'll tell you we're making another a deployment tomorrow night, and there's going to be some changes. Next week, probably Monday, you're going to hear from me again. We're going to go over the changes that we made. I am going to go ahead and tell you that what right here is going to be the actual birth date, when their birth date is. But what's really cool is out here beside it, let's say that they were celebrating a birthday or an anniversary during the trip. If they do, a birthday or a champagne icon is going to be here for you, and you can mouse over it and be able to tell that they are going to celebrate something on the trip. So I'm really excited about that. So we'll be watching for that. Okay, so I have 3 here in this one, and I didn't pick their room. So let's go ahead and let's get them family. Where's a family? Something, a family balcony. Okay. All right. And I'm gonna go ahead and invoice that. And as someone pointed out a while ago, I was a little bit low in my owner suite. So, they give me big discounts though, and this is going to be for Royal. Okay. And I'm going to put, I don't know what this is going to cost. I don't know what anything costs or what the commissions are. Okay. Now, I've got that. If I go back to my reservations, I can see I've got the 2 reservations. So I would just keep going along here and, add all these things every time I did one. And so when I take a look at this, there's several things, that can be done from here. All right. Let's go back to the Bedwells, and let's say that the Bedwells wanted to take a excursion outside of the group that I went and booked for them. Let's say I booked it on Shore Trips. So I'm going to add a booking, okay? And Shore Trips would have given me a number. And so I'm going to put that number there, and I'm going to put the booking date, and I'm going to put Shore Trips. I thought I had them in there. Okay. All right. Let me go fix that. Hold on. Give me just a second here. Yeah, I didn't have Shore Trips in my test company. Okay. And so I'm going back to my trip. Now, while we're looking at our trips, you see we have our trip listed here. Now, if I take the symbol on the side here and I open that, you can see each one of the sub-trips, if you will, are reservations underneath there, okay? And so I could go to each one of these or go back to the main one. I'm going to the Bedwell, and then I'm going to open it, and now I'm going to do the booking. Okay, and so here I have, actually this was going to be with Shore Trips, so, and then the date, okay, and the operator, and the package price. Maybe it was 600, and maybe this was 75, and I'm going to save this. And the reason I wanted to show you this is because we look at their bookings now, they have 2. So if I go to that reservation, they have 2, one of which is part of this group, and the other is something that I did for them outside of the regular group trip. So now if I go to invoice them, I'm going to see both of them on there, and I can invoice Lauren for this, and it's going to be what I'm collecting for the cruise part plus something else they did. Maybe there was a hotel ahead or post. And so this allows me to invoice each one of them, okay, by themselves. All right. So I think you're going to find out this is going to be very helpful for you. Now, a couple of things we have coming down the road is there is going to be a place right here beside the plus sign to export, and you're going to be able to export some files, rooming list, things like that. You'll be able to export a mailing list that allow you to print labels for your shipping the documents, things like that. So we're going to have several downloads here that you're going to be able to pull this data from here and send that out. Okay. All right. I want to look at one more thing, and then I want to show you something that's going to save you a tremendous amount of time. Okay. And so let's go over here to the Dosters. Now we know that we can add automation, and so I want to send an email out, before they travel and after they travel. So I can click on this, and I'm going to send a traveling email, and I want it to be, whatever status I can set, 2 days before the trip. I want to go to all clients on this trip and go to next, and then I'm going to pick the one that I want here, and I'm going to pick this one, set the template, and now I have some automation set up, and I can set that up for each one of the travelers. But now what happens is I've got to go set that up for each reservation, all right? And that's going to take me a lot of time. Also, for every reservation, I want to set up a reminder that the final payment's going to be due, and maybe some other things. Maybe 45 days out, I want to send everybody an invoice that's on the trip, all the primary clients on the trip. Okay, so these are some things that I want to be able to do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to introduce you to something new. If you come down here to settings, you're going to see something new called Workspace Extensions. Now, I think it is tomorrow, we have a webinar just on this. And so I want to introduce you to that today so that we can see how it can save us a lot of time doing any trip, specifically a group. So I have a cruise extension that I created. So I want to open this and see what it does. Okay, I'm going to look at this side here in just a few minutes, but there's two pieces of automation that you can add to an extension. Okay, so what this means is it's going to extend our trip to provide functionality that normally wasn't there. Okay, so the first thing I've done is I've added a task. Okay, and like I said, we're going to go in detail how to do this in tomorrow's webinar, I think, is on Workspace Extensions. And so what I've said here is I want a task of final payment due 45 days before the start date, and I want a reminder 1 day ahead. Okay. Then I set up a couple automations, emails. I want to welcome back. Okay, this is the template I want to use. I want to send it to all clients 2 days after the trip's over. Okay, and then I want to send a traveling email to all clients 2 days before it starts. I'm going to add one more here, and let's say that I want to do an invoice, and I want to do an invoice if it's booked. Okay, and I want to send this 45 days before the trip start date, and I want it to be only primary clients. Okay, so a primary client is different than a secondary client, but what this is going to do is the primary clients are the ones that I'm looking to get the money from. Okay, all right, so I'm going to do next, and then I'm going to pick the invoice that I want and set the template. All right, so what this means is that this is going to be used anytime I use this extension. Okay? All right, so let's go back and look at my trip and see how this would make my trip different. Okay, so I'm going to go to the trip here. I'm going to open the reservations, and I think, yeah, this is the Dosters had. So I'm going to cancel this. Okay, so there's no email automation set up, and there is one task, okay, that I had set up, but I didn't set a task up for the bedwells, okay? So the bedwells don't have a task. All right, so what I'm going to do here, I can bring this extension in on each one of these individually, okay? But I'm not going to do that because I want you to really see how it works. So I need to check my extension again, and I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to say add it automatically. And then I have to tell it when I want to add it. If it's an anniversary, honeymoon, or vacation, and it's a cruise, then I want to apply this extension, okay? And I'm going to save that. So let's go do a new trip, okay? And so I'm going to do a cruise again just to show you how that works. So I'm going to add a group, okay? And then I'm going to pick, that it's a wedding, okay? And I'm going to get my number, all right? And we're going to use Royal. And we're going to say this is the Adams. Okay, we're going to give it some dates. And through 7th. And we're going to pick cruise line, and we're going to pick Royal. And this one's going to be on the Freedom. Okay, I'm going to save that. So now I have a trip started, and then I can go to my reservations. I'm going to add a reservation, and I'm going to put let's see, and I'm going to save it. You know what I didn't do? I need to go back. I don't think on that extension I put wedding. I did not. That's why I didn't pull it in. Okay. Going back to my trip. And then let's see, how would I refresh that? Okay, I went ahead and pulled that extension in manually because I'd already added that one. So now once I added that, I want y'all to notice that I have a task set up automatically. So this task is sitting here, and it's for final payment, and we can see the date, and that date's going to be 45 days out. So it added that for me automatically. Okay, so let's go back to my reservation, and let's go in here, and let's add a traveler. Okay, and I'm going to put a primary, and I'm going to put Adams, and I'm going to pick Karen, and I'm going to save that. So as soon as I put that traveler, notice all of this that it brought in. Okay, now I need to back up just for a minute on this because I forgot to tell you guys something up front. And so I want to go up here and I want to look at my profile. So I'm here at my name and I'm going to click on my profile. Okay. When you go to your profile, if you look at my account, you have a standard and advanced package. Both of these are free to you. They're provided, to you through Outside Agents. So you need to make sure you're on the advanced package because some of these things that I've been showing you is not going to happen unless you're on the advanced package. Okay, so I need to back up and make sure you understand that. So when you do the trip and you go here and I look at this reservation, and none of this automation would show up if you weren't on the advanced package. Okay, and so I needed to make sure you understood that. So that automation brought all this in, and so if I add another traveler, and I'm going to add another one, and I'm going to put Adams, but I'm going to make this one the secondary, and I'm going to bring Sam. Okay, now notice here that Karen, because she is a primary, she got an invoice. Sam is not getting the invoice. He's just going to get a traveling and welcome back. So as you can see, this is going to really help an awful lot. All right, and so when I go to add another reservation, and I add a new one here, and I'm going to add the Smiths to Adams destination wedding, and I'm going to hit save. Automatically brought in the cruise. I'm going to add a traveler, and I'm going to bring in Smith, and I'm going to bring Alice, and Alice got all the automation. Okay, and so this is going to work even on a regular trip, and this is how we use extensions. But when you're doing a cruise and you want to apply the same thing over and over again, or any group, you want to apply that over and over again, you can set up all your tasks and you can set up all of your automation emails that you want, and they are going to pull that in. Now, I do want to show you one more thing. So we would do land groups the same way, but now I've got something. Let's say I have 3 couples, okay, and they're just going to a resort together, all right, and so it's not really a group. I didn't book the group with a wholesaler, but I want to keep them all together, but I want to be able to invoice them individually. And so I'm going to do a new group, okay, and I'm going to say this is a group, and there's not really a group number, okay, and so let's say we're going in March, and so I'm just going to call this Doster 32017. It's not a group number, it's just a number I gave it, the last name and the date, okay, and so it's just something that I can use. All right, now this is going to be, I think I have Classic set up. Oh, Ron, who do you have set up in here? Give me just a second. Let's see, carriers. FunJet. Okay, so we're going to use FunJet. So I got my trip, so I'm going to add a new trip. And this is just going to be a vacation, and no, that's not what I wanted. I wanted a group, so trip, add a group, and it's going to be a vacation, and then I'm going to put Doster 32017. Okay, I'm going to pick FunJet is who we booked it with, and then this is going to be the Doster Casita Experience. And we're going to go in March, 1st through the 8th, and we're going to say resort. I'm going to say the L. And I'm going to save this. All right, then I'm going to go add a reservation, and I'm going to do everything the same. I'm just going to add a reservation. Now, what happens here before I go to add these reservations, you know, I could set up an extension for this, or, you know, I can do it individually. So I don't have an extension for this, so I'm just going to do this by hand. And so I'm going to add a thing here, and I'm going to say this is the Doster Casita. Excuse me, and I'm going to save that. I'm going to add my room. I'm going to get my swim up, and then I'm going to add a traveler. Okay, now I'm going to go do the booking. This is the part I wanted to show you. So the fact that this is not a group at all, but what it's going to do is it's going to be just a regular booking, excuse me, with FunJet. So I'm going to put that booking number that they gave me, and then I'm going to put the date, and I'm going to put FunJet. Okay, and I'm going to put the package price, $6,000 and $700. Okay, and so here I could just go add each one of the couples that are going on the trip with me. Okay, it's not really a group, but it allows me to join them together, and then I can invoice each one of them individually. I can go here to invoice, and it's going to invoice each room, each reservation. Okay, and so it just allows you to be able to do that, but keep them together in a group. So what I want to do now is I want to look back. I've got a lot of questions here. I want to try to get some of them answered, and then we can, let's see here. I've already got a group. If you already have a group in the system, then you can't just, you won't be able to convert them. You know, it's up to you whether you want to change them. If you are going to change them, make sure that when you do that, that you cancel the bookings and the trip, okay? And then you can put them in again. And so do we have a group number from the vendor? Make it up 3 couples. Yes, that's what I just showed you. You can make up one. We have a place. So I don't have a cabin number right now, but I'm going to show you something tomorrow that's going to give you a way to add that cabin number. Okay. We'll modify an extension. Will it affect? No. So modifying the extension is going to affect all of the trips. Is there a procedure? You know, Amber, I'm trying to get the procedure manual written. I just really never get done. And so I am working on one. Can you invoice your separate consulting fee from the price of the package? You know, that has something, you know, that's a separate thing than groups. That's got to be done outside of that. And, you know, when you, where are you going to put that consulting fee? That's up to do with the wholesaler and how you do that and how you're going to charge your people. Where do you, okay, you found it, Maureen. Does it have to be a group for automation? No, it does not. The extension's not for groups only. We can apply an extension for anything. Let me show you that really quick. But again, we're going to do that a lot in tomorrow's webinar. So if I go to my extensions, I have one called Honeymoon. and in my Honeymoon I have a final payment, and I have these 3 emails, and I'm going to select Honeymoon. And so if they pick Honeymoon and a resort, and I could add a cruise here if I wanted, but right now this is just a Honeymoon and resort, and I save that. And then if I go to trips and I add a new trip, I'm at a regular trip. As soon as I do this, I'm going to pick Honeymoon, and then I'm just going to say test here, and then I'm going to say resort, and we'll say Sandals. That's easiest for me to type, and put some dates, and save. And you see it brought that Honeymoon in. It did add a task, and as soon as I add a traveler, then it's going to bring in that automation. So as you see, these extensions are going to be very helpful for you. Okay. All right. Let me look at a couple more here. I already put bookings in the group, didn't add them to the group. I'll move them together after the webinar. Yes, the webinar is being recorded. How do you make sure you're on the advanced package? On the advanced package, once again, I go here to my profile. I clicked on my name, my profile, and I went to my account, and here's where it shows your package. Do you always add a name and trips? So here's why I do that. I wanted to show you that, okay? And so let's go to this trip here, and let's go to the Dulster Family Cruise. And so I gave some good descriptions here. All right. Well, I'm going to take this description and I'm going to change it, and I'm just going to put just Bedwell on there. Okay. And so I'm going to save that now. And so it just says, so if I go back to my reservations, this one just says Bedwell. And that probably wouldn't be bad here because you know who it is. Well, let's go back here, and what I want to do is click on Lauren. And so when I go to Lauren and I look at her trips, you see, I just see the word Bedwell, and it's a reservation. I know that it was on the Royal Caribbean and when it was, but I don't know, when, any more about it. So if I go back here and I put this back and I save this, and then when I go to Lauren and I look at her trips, you see it's the Bedwell's on the Dulster Family Cruise. And so it makes a little bit more sense there, excuse me, when you do that. Are you going to add a block file? When we book cruise, we need to have a group number. The client makes full deposit. Yes. So in some is once you make the full deposit, they actually give you a reservation number, and then when they do that, I'd want to go in when I'm marking that payment, and I'd want to change that reservation to the reservation number that the wholesaler gave us. So we have to create an extension. Now you have to create an extension for each one. Again, we're going to go over that tomorrow. We'll be able to add a message to the invoice in the future. Is there a way to have the ship automatic? Yes, we're working on this part here. The question is, can we add the ship, itinerary, and cabin number automatically to the invoice? That is something that we are working on. What is the difference between trip status between active and booked? That's a good question. I'm going to give you my 2 cents worth on it, and so it's kind of open to you. But when you look at a trip, to me, these statuses walk me through a trip. So active, when I pull all my trips up and I see the active means to me that I'm actively trying to get them to book. Okay. Once I get them to book, then what I want to do is I want to change this to booked. Okay. And then when I go to my trip list, I can see the ones that are booked. I can filter just for my actives, because these should be the things I'm working on. This is my pipeline. This is the things that I need to get done. Okay. I can pull this trip back up. Once it becomes paid, I like to move it to paid, okay, and save that. Now, once I have delivered the documents, okay, then I want to move it to ready to travel. And I like to key all my automation, my welcome home, my traveling emails off of ready to travel. And the reason is sometimes we forget to do something, okay? And so maybe this trip canceled. I forgot to come in here and cancel it. I don't want it to be sending them emails, welcome home from your honeymoon, and they didn't get married, okay? And so what I like to do is when I hand them the documents, then this tells me that I've delivered the documents. I set that ready to travel, and then I key my automation off of that, okay? Let's see. Do you add a client's name and trips even if we're, yes, 100, Linda, definitely, 100%. Question is, would I put someone in here if I was just quoting them? Now, you know, as you've heard me before, when I start a trip here, I've not booked this, okay? So this is still active. And then what I do is I come out here and make notes, and I definitely want them in here, and I also want the travelers added. And the reason for that is, let's say I have this here, and let's say they don't book with me. I never get it booked. Then I just come up here and cancel it, okay? And so I just mark canceled. It's going to go off my list here. It's not going to be here anymore. But if I look at my canceled, they're here. And then if I go here, and let's go out and look at Ron, the client, and I see he has 10 trips, I'm going to see that this trip was canceled, okay? I was working with him on something, and these canceled. And I can open this and see what we were working on. The second thing is in the very near future, we're going to offer, there's going to be a way for you to market to your clients. And I want them in the system so that I can market to them. Okay, I've got a lot of questions here. We'll take a few more minutes, answer a couple more of them. I know y'all have been here for a while. I don't have a group. I have 3 family members going on a cruise. Yes, it says I don't have a group, but I have 3 family members, 3 families going on a cruise. Like I showed you earlier, you can add them, kind of make up your number, and put them all together. When we invoice the primary, will secondary, third, etc's name appear on the invoice? Anytime you do an invoice, the only thing that's on the invoice right now is the one that you're sending it to. And so if I'm in my trip and I pull this up, the travelers are not currently on the invoice. That is something, you know, that could be looked at in the template. But when I go to invoice, it's going to be the person's name who's here that I'm invoicing is what's going to show up. Let's see. How can I get more training on how to better use my Agent Genie? Inside your Agent Genie, you have your training modules, and there's a lot of training in there. We are going to be giving more webinars down the road so that we can provide you a little bit more training also. Where did I get the email from that I have to okay, where do you get the emails from? This is a good question, and the emails come from the templates, and there's going to be a webinar coming up on how to use those templates and how to build those, okay? Those, just watch for webinars on the template builder. Will it be possible to send quotes through MAG? I'm sure one day that is something that's definitely on our list. Can I set up a reoccurring task? At this time, we cannot. Where do we enter payments? So when you do a trip, and so I have my trip here, and I go to one of the reservations, and on the booking, I open the booking, and so on the booking here, I can go to the payment tab and then add a payment. I give the client that's making the booking and initial deposit and the payment date, amount, and save it. So now I'm going to see that payment on that booking. If I go to that reservation, I can see the payment, or if I go to my reservations, I also see the payment here and the balance due. Can we send automated invoice to any of our clients? No, right now the question is, can I send it to any of my clients or just those on active trips? The only invoices, the only things that you can send right now is from a trip, and we will look at that in more detail tomorrow. So we could add, yes. So the question is, could I do a speculation group? And yes, and there's no booking. So what you would do is you would just add the group, you would give it a group number, and then you would add reservations. You just wouldn't add bookings to them till you actually got them to add. Will you be doing a webinar on customizing the emails? Yes, yes. Again, if you watch for that on the template builder. What if family members use one email? You know, if they were all using one email, then you have to be careful when you add them to the automation. You can remove the automation, you know, say from the children. If you've got children going, you know, and they don't have their own email, I just leave those emails out, and then they don't go. Can we regulate what might be emailed to clients? Marketing. We're not doing any marketing right now, and you regulate everything because you set it up from the trip, okay? Are we able to customize the invoice with our own company logo like yours? Yes. Again, these are questions on the template builder, and we will be getting more webinars on that. I don't want to take up a lot of time today on that. I want to try to stick to the groups. Show how much each. So how much each person in a cabin owes right now. If there's two different people making payments and it's in one cabin, you can invoice both, make both of those people the primary. You can invoice both of them, and they're going to see the total, but it's not going to be just for theirs. Adding, the question is, if I go to the advanced, does that change your monthly subscription with Outside Agents? The answer to that is no. That's all included. Let's see a couple more here. If I send an invoice, there is an option to also put a message. I have to go out to the email, send it separately. So the question is when they send an invoice and they, I think they want to put a special message there. If the message is going to be specifically for this one, then you would need to send it from your email. If the message, if you want that message going to everyone you ever invoice, then the template can be changed to be that, okay? Take on a couple more here, and then I need to get you guys going. Automation based on more dates than right now. The only automation we have is for a trip, okay, and that trip has to do with the dates of a trip, you know, and so everything is based on when they travel at this time. Okay, so yeah, the question is in adding a spouse, is there going to be an easier way to add the address? Eventually there will be. Right now that's just not something, that we have been working on yet, but we do want to improve that at some time. So in booking a group, how many payments are made? So in booking a group, yes, you're correct. She says it'll let her see how many payments are. Question is, can you see how many payments are made individually? You'll be able to see the payments that are made on the reservations, but not individually, okay? So a lot of trips at 2 people in a room, but of different addresses. It'd be great to be able to split the cost. Yeah. And okay. Can we delete button when we make a mistake in the booking? Can we get a delete button when we make a mistake in the booking to correct? So in the booking, if you make a mistake, then right now we don't really have the concept of delete. If you just cancel that booking, it's going to go away. You're not going to see it anywhere, and it's still in the system, but it's not going to matter to you. I know you guys still have a lot of questions. I've tried to cover as many of them as I can. Now, there's a lot of new things, and we've got 3 more webinars planned, and so what I want you to do is to attend those webinars. This has been recorded. I'll be getting it over to Chad so that he can post it on your portal, and please keep attending the webinars. The one tomorrow on the automation, you're going to really like a lot. We're going to look at things in more detail, and then on Friday there's one, and then there should be one. We're going to be scheduling one again next Monday. So keep watching for the webinars. I do want to make sure you guys are trained on how to do this group functionality, and the extensions is going to save you a lot of time. It's not the answer to everything, but it is certainly a big step in the right direction. So I do appreciate y'all's time today, and thanks a lot for joining.